प्रविश्य मम वाचमिमां प्रसुप्तां सञ्जीवयत्यखिलशक्तिधरस्वधाम्ना अन्यांश्च हस्तचरणश्रवणत्वगादीन् प्राणान्नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यं प्राणान्नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यम्.
Atma, he is already Atma. What is Atma Bhava then? That is making them look towards their Atma. Jnana Deepena Bhasvata. That is lighting a lamp in their inner being. By lighting the lamp, Jnana Deepena Bhasvata. That is being compassionate to them. I remove the darkness by lighting a lamp. Darkness is not material darkness, so ordinary lamp will not do. It is the ajnana darkness which has to be removed by the knowledge. So he says, why it is, I went back to this to say that by bhakti, how the jnana comes. He says it is out of, when you are having this kind of a para bhakti, that you are removing, you are offering everything, foregoing your ego and gain and desires and everything, then jnana will automatically come. The Lord himself will appear in your heart with the lamp of knowledge. This is very important because they are synthesizing everything there. Nobody should think that it is all different path. I am on karma marga, you are on bhakti marga, he is on what is that? Jnana marga. Even people also say that Ma is bhakti marga and Nutun Swamiji is jnana marga. So this love in Rabindranath's poem, it is, I think the title is Mukti. The Mukti he has defined in a very beautiful manner, different from the Mukti we generally study. He says, Vairagya sadhane mukti shyamanna. Actually, it is wrongly understood. It is not like that the full poem has to be. And there he has the last line is Mohamor mukti rupe uthibe julia, prem mor bhakti rupe rohibe phulia. The end part of it is moha, my delusion will become ablaze as the liberation. Liberation from andhakara, liberation from ignorance. Prem more, whatever the human love we have, that prem more bhakti rupe rohive phulya. That prema will get converted into bhakti and the moha will get converted into mukti. You don't have to leave anything. The whole world will undergo a change because of our internal change. Purne manasi sampurnam jagat sarvam sudhadravaihi. The whole world becomes nectarine. Okay, let us proceed to the next. Now again, whenever he puts the positive side, after that he says that what are the obstacles on that path. Like that it goes back and forth. Here, up 59, 60, 61, actually it started from the 58th verse itself. The second line, Athachet tvam ahankarat na shoshyasi vinangshasi. That is the negative part. Now the three verses, they are also the obstacles to the sadhana. Yadahankaramashritya
Yadahankaramashritya
Nayotsya iti manyase Mithyaisha vyavasayaste Prakritistvam niyokshyati. He says, if you take recourse to ahankara, ego, and you think that no, I am not going to fight. Arjuna is fluctuating. Krishna doesn't have enough faith. Even now, if you think that I am not going to fight, know that it is because of your ego. I am telling you the clarity I am giving, but you are not accepting. So it is because of your ego. If it is so, mithyaisha vyavasayasta, the resolute intelligence you have, the resolution you have. What is the resolve here? You are resolving to take up sannyasa and practice jnana nishtha, which you are not fit, you will not be able to do it. So it is mithya. It's just futile is your resolution, your resolve that you will take to jnana nishtha. Prakritistvām niyokhyati. Your nature will force you to do what you are doing. In the going to the forest also you will think of Duryodhana and how to kill him. Your mind will not be given to your Atma. If you run away from your work and try to focus on meditation and Atma Jnana, taking to Jnana Nishtha. Svabhavajena kaunteya nibaddha svena karmana. Svabhavajena kaunteya, O kaunteya, svabhavajena nibaddha svena karmana. Kattum nechasi yan mohat karishyasi avashopitat. A person is bound by his svabhava to his own natural karma. If out of delusion you think that you don't want to do it, know that you will do it like avasha, you will do it helplessly, you will be forced to do it. It will not be under your control. That Arjuna himself had asked that atakena prayukto am papam charati purusha anichanniva bhashneya baladiva niyajitaha. That people still undergo sinful activities, that as if by wind they are carried away, although they don't want to. Here he is saying, although you don't want to, you will be carried away by your own natural tendencies. Ishvara sarva bhutanam hriddeshe arjuna tishtati. That in all the beings, the Bhagavan or the truth or the Atma or Ishvara is right there in the heart. He is right there in your heart. Brahmayan sarva bhutani yantrarudhani mayaya. As if sitting on the machine, they are driving us according to the nature. The driver is the Ishvara. He is making us go here and there. We are not free. We are bound by it, is what he is saying. Now here you go back to 7.5, the 7th chapter, 5th verse. Why I will say this yantrarudhani mayaya, what does it mean? See, 7.5, before that 4 and 5, I will just read, you don't have to repeat. Bhumirapo analo vayuhu khammano buddhirevacha ahankara itiyam me bhinna prakritirashtadha apareyamitastvanyam prakritim viddhi me param jiva bhutam mahabaho Yayedam dharyate jagat. He says that he is describing the whole nature and prakriti and objectude. Bhumihi, apaha, that means earth, water, fire, air and space. These are the external objects, external elements. And mano buddhi, these are the internal elements. Ahankara, this is also internal element. These 8, 5 plus 3, 5 external and 3 internal. Internal, mana, buddhi and ahankara. External, the 5 old elements. These 8, this is the ashtadha prakriti, the eightfold nature. That is, nature constitutes of these 8 elements. Ashtadha, they are saying there is a meaning, I will not go into it in detail. That means it's not all separated, they are all linked to each other. The eightfold nature. He says that this is the apara prakriti, that means inferior prakriti. This is a Bhagavad Gita speciality. Apare, this expression is Bhagavad Gita speciality. Aparayam itastu anyam prakritim viddhi me param. This is the apara prakriti constituting these 8 elements, constituted of these 8 elements. You listen to me from what is that supreme Prakriti, Para Prakriti. What is the superior Prakriti? This is all inferior. What is that? Jiva bhutam mahavaho yayedam dharyate jagat. Para Prakriti is that by which I am becoming a jiva. That means associated with the body-mind personality. I am getting associated with the body-mind personality and holding the whole universe. This is the Maya element. See, as such, the whole thing is nothing but consciousness. But the moment the consciousness, the reflection of the consciousness comes to our buddhi, that we call jiva, that we call chit abhasa, chidabhasa also. These are the names in the Shastra. The other day I showed you the mirror, told you about the mirror, that the light is coming from there and it's getting reflected by the mirror. With the secondary beam you can see, with the reflected beam we can see everything. But when we are thinking that the beam is coming from the mirror, we are wrong. Actually the light is coming from the original light. But we are thinking that it is coming from the mirror. So what is the mirror doing? It is only allowing the original light to be reflected and go into a reflected beam. Am I clear? So like that, our buddhi, our whole body-mind complex is allowing this consciousness to be expressed with the association of the body-mind personality, and that creates the whole universe for us. It is holding the whole universe by becoming, this is called the jiva. This is what we mean by jiva, the element in each mirror, that is in each body-mind complex, the reflection of the consciousness. It is called chidabhasa also. Chit abhasa, it is not the chit. Like the moon's reflection in all the millions of waves are there. One moon is getting reflected. So the moon's reflections in the waves is just like the chidabhasa. That is the jiva. Each wave has a reflection and that is changing also. But nothing happens to the moon. So this is the Maya, that the impersonal Godhead or the impersonal truth in association with the body-mind complex is projecting the whole world and making us, according to that body-mind complex, he is binding us in the world. So the moment we understand this, then we get liberated from the bondage of the body-mind complex. Am I making things more complex or clear? Huh? You should always learn to relate the different verses, then the clarity will be more. So, who is making us work like the instruments, remaining in the heart of all the beings? Tam eva. You take recourse. Sharanam means you take your ashraya, your refuge in that. Who is sitting in our heart, making us move in this world in different manner. Taking refuge in him. Tam eva sharanam gaccha. You take refuge. I said that these are all the summary of the surrender, how you are going to surrender. He is explaining in different manner. Tam eva sharanam gaccha. Tam eva, this eva is very important. Only him. Don't take ashraya in the objects or that sense enjoyments or prosperity, this, that. We are generally taking our refuge in that. That is why whenever something goes, we are not able to accept it. Whenever there is a difficulty or we have to lose something I like or face something I dislike, we are not able to accept the situation. So we have not taken ashraya in the truth, in the Ishvara who is sitting in the heart is making us move around. If we take ashraya in him, that is what he is saying. Tameva sharanam gaccha. How will you take sharanam? Sarva bhavena bharata. Whatever bhava is there. Now this is another intricate point. How will you take ashraya by all your bhavas? Tell me. That means surrender bolna to asan hai. Suppose you are very angry. How will you surrender it? Your anger has to be surrendered there. How will you surrender to the Lord? Anger or any such which is negative quality, suppose. Today a person was telling me that somebody had to be scolded, but while scolding she got irritated. So understood that the surrender is not there. Now the question is that you have to scold where scolding is necessary, but you must not scold out of your affectation or your irritation. Where scolding is necessary, you have to scold. Because that is necessary for the objective purpose, work. But if you are scolding out of irritation, out of you are losing your self-seatedness. Suppose somebody is abusing. We return abuse, it is because we are losing our poise, losing our self-seatedness. So, when you do not out of any personal irritation, that means desire, ego, etc., they are not there. You do it as a necessity, as a prakriti, whatever to be done, you are doing. Then it becomes surrendered. So, in effect, you will find that everything, just now I said, premor bhakti rupe rohibe pulya. That means the personal love of the fragmented love we are having, they all will be turned into the devotion towards the ultimate. So, like that, here also you will find that the anger and all the negative traits will get complete transformation. You will not have the corresponding klesha or the friction corresponding to that. Wherever you have to scold, you will scold. Wherever one has to be loved, you will love. In love, you will not get attached by that love, that if he goes away, you will suffer and you will not be able to withstand. In your scolding also, you will not get any irritation or any abhorrence towards that, hatred towards that person. Whatever to be done, you will do. There is a statement which is called Rosho Vinirmala Dhyam Ramaniya Eva. Am I correct? Rosho, na? Roshopi Nirmala Dhyam Ramaniya Eva. That Rosha means expression of powerful anger, you can say, sort of anger. Although they will not have anger, but it is anger. He says that a Nirmaladhi means a pure person whose buddhi and mind has become purified. Nirmaladhyam, that is for the Nirmaladhi, for the pure-minded people, even the anger is Ramaniya Eva. It is very beautiful. Their anger is very beautiful. You may sometimes experience it in the children sometimes, that not so much attached, but little their rosha they may express sometimes, very simply you may enjoy that. But truly speaking, this is what it is. When the mind is freed of its kalmasha, of its impurities, of its ego and desire, then whatever you do, it is beautiful. So war is also beautiful. Here in the context, if you can fight the war like this, it is beautiful. After this message, when Arjuna was fighting, every day there used to be some problem in the camp and Krishna had to resolve. So one day Karna and Yudhishthira were fighting. And Yudhishthira was not parallel to Karna at all, so he got defeated. But Karna had promised that I will not kill the Panchapandavas. So he did not kill him, but he caught hold of his hair and said that you are a Brahmana boy, go and do puja. So it was a great insult for Yudhishthira. Yudhishthira had lot of Brahmana properties. He was not so much Kshatriya, but both were there. So that was a great insult. Yudhishthira came back with red face, came back to the camp. But the fact is that when he was getting defeated, he had called Arjuna repeatedly. He sent message for Arjuna to come. But these people knew that the moment Karna attacked Yudhishthira, Arjuna will come and save him. So they had made a special vyuha, special arrangement of forces with big Maharathis and all, so that Arjuna cannot come. Every time he will be opposed in various places. So Arjuna could not reach. When he finally came, he found that already it is done. So when he came back to the camp that day, Yudhishthira was already very angry, sitting annoyed with Arjuna, sitting there. The moment Arjuna entered, he said, throw away your Gandiva. When I wanted you, you could not come. Throw away your Gandiva. You understand, Gandiva was there. Now Arjuna got very excited that I had promised that anybody who tells me throw away your Gandiva, I will cut his head. But now he has to cut the head of Yudhishthira to keep his promise. Why am I telling this? I am pointing out, if you have Mahabharata, you see that the statements of Arjuna, it is quite long. statement. The story is not over. I will connect again. But so many things he will say. From experience here, there are many things, but the last two lines of all the statements are the same. But Krishna, you are a knower of truth. Whatever you say, I will do. That Yudhishthira never had. Arjuna is saying, after expressing all his anguish, all his, whatever his opinion, end point is, but Krishna, you are a knower of truth. Whatever you say, I will accept. That means his ashraya in the Guru, in Krishna. Now, what is it then? Krishna found that by the time Krishna also was there, he found that what will happen if Arjuna kills Yudhishthira, then the whole war is gone. He immediately said that, oh, you don't know. In the Shastras, it is said that if you abuse your elder brother, it is equal to killing him. So you abuse your elder brother profusely. So Arjuna goes on abusing Yudhishthira. What all he said, you should see, it is very interesting. What all complaint he had against Yudhishthira. Everything, all the abuses over. After ending all the abuses, he says, but in the Shastras say, Arjuna is saying, Shastras say that if you abuse your elder brother, you should commit suicide. So I am now going to commit suicide. Krishna was again... He said, oh, acha, theek hai. But you don't know that a Veera, a real courageous warrior, for him committing suicide is Atmashlaga. Atmashlaga means you announce that I am a great fighter, I have done this, I have done that, etc. A real courageous person, a real warrior will never speak like that. They will be humble. So if a warrior starts having such announcements, Atmashlaga it is called, then it is a commitment equal to commitment of suicide. So Arjuna again opposes this said many things, but oh Krishna, whatever you say I accept. So all the statements are like that. Finally Krishna was happy, he could solve the problem in the camp. So he had to solve it many times, it is not once only. Always he had to put his mind, because he was a transcendental person. Dharma and adharma was not a binding for him. He knew how to go to the ultimate dharma. So he was able. Now if you follow him, then the guide also, Arjuna was supposed to follow him. It is the Sharanagati in the presence of the Guru. That will come now. In the next section it will come. Tameva sharanam gaccha.
Tameva sharanam gaccha.
Sarvabhavena bharata.
Sarvabhavena bharata.
Tat prasadat param shantim.
Tat prasadat param shantim.
Sthanam prapsyasi shashvatam.
Sthanam prapsyasi shashvatam.
So he again saying that previously it was sarva karma, that is renouncing sarva karma. Now it has gone, you should be careful, attentive enough. It has gone one step above. It has become subtle. What is that? Not karma, sarva bhava. That is gone to the internal level. Whatever bhavas are coming, whatever emotions, whatever thoughts are coming to your mind, that there itself has to be the surrender, not after it has got converted into a activity. Right there you have to surrender. This is the higher step. Then tat prasadat, tameva sharanam, to whom you are taking refuge, by his prasada you will attain the ultimate peace, the param shantim, sthanam prapsyasi shashvatam, the eternal abode you will get. That means you will have the realization of the self. Iti te jnanamakyatam.
Iti te jnanamakyatam.
Guhyat guhyataram maya.
Guhyat guhyataram maya.
Vimrishyetadasheshena.
Vimrishyetadasheshena.
Yathechasi tatha kuru.
Yathechasi tatha kuru.
Iti te jnanamakyatam guhyat guhyataram maya. This is what all I know about knowledge. I have explained to you everything. Jnanamakyatam guhyat guhyataram. More secret than the very secret. Guhyat guhyataram. Guhyataram is the comparative statement. That something is secret, it is even more secret. Everything I have told you has been explained by me, jnanam akhyatam, called knowledge. Vimishaitat asheshena. You now can analyze and think as much as you can, asheshena, endlessly. Then yathechhasi tatha kuru. Then you do whatever you want to do. Whatever you want to do, you do. So he said, I have told you all the knowledge I have, everything I have told you, even the secret, more secret than the secret knowledge I have given you. Now think about it in great detail and whatever manner, and then whether you fight or not, it is depending on you. So see how he has left again on Arjuna's ego, that you have to take your decision. That means you are not listening to me, you have to take your decision, and I have told you whatever to be told. Now you know the truth, you make your decisions. Then saying Krishna cannot keep quiet. So this is the most important, the greatest secret in spiritual sadhana. Sarvaguhyatamam bhuyaha
सर्वगुह्यतमं भूयः
Shrinu me paramam vachaha
शृणु मे परमं वचः
Ishtosi me dridhamiti
इष्टोऽसि मे दृढमिति
Tato vakshyami te hitam.
ततो वक्ष्यामि ते हितम्.
He says sarvaguhyatamam, that the most secret, bhuyaha shrinu me paramam vacha. Because he says bhuyaha means again. I will tell you again what is the sarvaguhyatamam, the greatest secret I will tell you. And that is my supreme word, paramam vachaha. That is my supreme word. Why that bhuyaha has come? That means he has already told. So you will find the 9.34, Manmana Bhava Mad Bhakta is already told there. 9.34, 9th chapter, 34th verse. You cannot just inattentively read. You have to always be very attentive. Each word should be attended to. In 9.34 it was Manmana Bhava Mad Bhakto
भवमद्भक्तो
Madhyaji Mam Namaskuru
मद्याजी मां नमस्कुरु
Mame Vaishyasi Yuktvaivam
मामे वैश्यसि युक्त्वैवम्
Atmanam Matparayanaha.
आत्मानं मत्परायणः.
And here in 18.65 it is Manmana Bhava Mad Bhakto
मन्मना भव मद्भक्तो
Madhyaji Mam Namaskuru
मद्याजी मां नमस्कुरु
Mame Vaishyasi Satyam Te
मामे वैश्यसि सत्यं ते
Pratijane Priyosi Me.
प्रतिजाने प्रियोऽसि मे.
Up to mam eva eshyasi, that you will attend me. Up to this, both are same. There it was yuktvaivam atmanam matparayanaha. Here it is satyam te pratijane priyosime. That I am promising that this will happen because you are most beloved